Heard in court today over illegal appointments she allegedly made for several positions inside the village, among them.
Now she's teasing a big announcement that she claims will result in some of her opponents being arrested and charged.
Tiffany Henyard, a talented performer in the political arena, now finds herself at the center of one of Illinois' most dramatic political meltdowns in recent history. Her reign as super mayor appears to be nearing its end amid mounting scandals, legal troubles, and a stunning defeat at the most recent Democratic caucus. Despite her past successes, this turbulent phase of her career has cast a shadow over her leadership, drawing intense public scrutiny and widespread criticism.
The judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking her from making those appointments without approval from trustees.
On a frigid December night in Homewood, Illinois, hundreds of residents braved the cold, wrapped in heavy jackets and scarves, as they lined up outside the Homewood Flossmoor Park District Auditorium for the first Thornton Township Democratic caucus in over 30 years. The growing crowd of locals, political insiders, and onlookers reflected the enormous stakes of the night, with an air of anticipation and tension hanging over the scene. Inside, the charged atmosphere only intensified, as attention centered on Tiffany Henyard, the controversial mayor and township supervisor, who saw the event as a high-stakes battle to defend her political reign against mounting threats. Whispers and side glances filled the room as the weight of the moment became clear. Known for her flair for theatrics, Henyard arrived in a striking pink pantsuit, exuding deliberate confidence as she faced one of the most defining moments of her career. Defiant but visibly strained as the night progressed, cracks began to show in Tiffany Henyard's composure. Accusations of voter suppression and rule-bending surfaced, with Henyard directing sharp criticism at her political rival, State Senator Napoleon Harris, who also serves as the Thornton Township Democratic committeeman. She accused Harris of orchestrating the caucus to undermine her, claiming he barred her supporters from mentoring while allowing only his allies to do so, effectively sealing her fate before the event even began. Despite the intensity of her accusations and the fiery tone of her statements, they failed to sway the audience or disrupt the caucus process, which remained structured and appeared to follow established procedures. Tiffany Henyard suffered a crushing blow as she lost the party's nomination for township supervisor in a unanimous vote that took just 7 minutes, a swift and humiliating defeat for the once unstoppable super mayor. "We had her back because we believe in her," said Jay. The stunning collapse of her political ambitions was met with loud cheers and jubilant chants from the crowd, with some attendees mockingly singing the iconic farewell anthem, "Na na hey hey, kiss him goodbye." As the results were announced, the atmosphere turned celebratory for her opponents, but devastating for Henyard, who rushed out of the auditorium visibly shaken. Before leaving, she vowed to sue everyone involved, but the damage was already done. Her political empire had suffered a catastrophic blow, and her worried expression made it clear that the future of her once dominant reign was now in serious doubt.
I've said for a while, it's like, grassroots. It was organic when a lot of this things started at the township, where the people were, just showing their...
The crowded auditorium buzzed with excitement as 600 people gathered in anticipation of the Thornton Township Democratic Caucus, the first of its kind in over 30 years. Supporters of Thornton Township Democratic committeeman and State Senator Napoleon Harris, who had arrived early to claim seats, filled the room with a visible display of enthusiasm and unity. Their presence formed a wall of support, creating an atmosphere charged with anticipation. But as the event progressed, tensions began to rise, signaling that a dramatic shift was on the horizon. Many of Mayor Tiffany Henyard's allies were left stranded outside the packed auditorium after buses carrying her supporters arrived late, leaving little room for them to enter. As Henyard strode into the room, her fury was unmistakable. Known for her typically composed demeanor, the embattled mayor now radiated outrage, her every step brimming with defiance. Clad in a bold pink pantsuit that cut sharply through the crowd, she marched to the front of the room, her voice ringing out with accusations of injustice. "Illegal," she declared, launching a fiery attack on what she alleged was a calculated plot to sabotage her campaign. Her sharpest criticism was aimed directly at State Senator Napoleon Harris, denouncing the entire caucus as a rigged spectacle designed to dismantle her political standing. Mayor Tiffany Henyard intensified her attack on State Senator Napoleon Harris, accusing him of orchestrating a plot to exclude her supporters and undermine her leadership and candidacy. Her accusations clashed with the cheers and applause from Harris's supporters, transforming the already tense room into a chaotic verbal battleground. Amid the commotion, caucus organizers maintained that the event was being conducted according to established rules, emphasizing that the auditorium had reached capacity due to early arrivals. But Henyard was unyielding, claiming that last-minute rule changes were deliberately designed to disqualify her. Citing technicalities like the absence of a professional assessor, she denounced the process as voter suppression. But despite her fiery protests, the caucus continued as planned, with organizers standing firm on the legitimacy of the procedures. Despite her fiery assertions, Henyard's efforts had little impact on the outcome. The caucus ended in a swift unanimous vote, eliminating her as the party's candidate for township supervisor in just 7 minutes. The crowd erupted into cheers and applause at the announcement, intensifying the spectacle as some spectators mockingly sang, "Nah, nah, 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 hey, 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 kiss him goodbye," turning the moment into a public rebuke of Henyard. This humiliating defeat seemed to strip away the charisma and boldness that had long defined her political persona. As she left the stage, the weight of her loss was palpable, forcing Henyard to confront the harsh reality that her influence was rapidly fading, and the tides of public opinion had shifted decisively against her.
Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, who was appointed to that position tonight, lost her bid for the Democratic Party's nomination in this rare...
Tiffany Henyard's political career, once a symbol of ambition, now resembles a slow-mate train wreck, marred by scandals, mounting criticism, and growing public outrage. Her chances of securing re-election under the Democratic banner have been severely undermined by her loss of the party's nomination. With her popularity dwindling and a political climate increasingly hostile to her leadership style, the prospect of a successful write-in campaign seems all but impossible. Not long ago, Henyard appeared poised for success, with aspirations to become the Thorne Township Supervisor, a position that promised significant power and influence. Yet now, her future in politics looks uncertain, overshadowed by the fallout from her rapid decline. Local government positions in Illinois, such as the one Henyard held, offer salaries of over $200,000 a year, but her tenure has become a flashpoint of controversy. Her rapid downfall has been fueled by accusations of corruption, reckless spending, and heavy-handed leadership, transforming her administration into a chaotic case study. Critics have accused Henyard of using public funds as a personal slush fund, financing lavish travel, extravagant dinners, and even an $85,000 show that was so poorly attended it only highlighted the erosion of public trust in her leadership. These missteps have severely damaged her reputation and further eroded the confidence of the very community she was meant to serve. Henyard's administration has been marked by turbulence, with village and township meetings frequently descending into heated arguments, often featuring raised voices and absent trustees who skip sessions altogether. Critics argue that the lack of accountability and transparency in these meetings reflects deeper dysfunction within her administration. The looming threat of an FBI investigation has only worsened the erosion of public trust, with residents and political analysts speculating about the potential fallout. The probe, centered on allegations of financial mismanagement and misuse of public funds, casts a shadow over Henyard's leadership. Despite this, Henyard has shown a remarkable ability to evade accountability, further fueling skepticism and frustration among the community. Shifting the blame to her political opponents has done little to win over the irate residents of Dalton. Henyard remained stubborn in the face of numerous controversies, portraying herself as a victim of political sabotage and attempting to redirect the narrative to one of perseverance despite adversity. However, her neighbors are increasingly unmoved by this portrayal, viewing her behavior as a reflection of a broader indifference to Dalton's struggles. Her administration has become synonymous with dysfunction, tainted by accusations of misusing township resources for personal gain and fostering a hostile work environment. Former allies, too, have grown resentful of Henyard's leadership style, further isolating her and deepening the divide within the community. Henyard's leadership has been tainted by stories of the toxic political atmosphere she cultivated. In an attempt to salvage her image, she erected billboards around Dalton, emblazoned with slogans like "The People's Choice" and "Keeping My Promises," which many residents viewed as hollow platitudes amid a growing crisis. Rather than addressing the town's crippling debt and deteriorating infrastructure, locals have become increasingly vocal in their dissatisfaction with an administration they feel prioritizes optics over genuine progress. her handling of township funds has also come under fire, with accusations of misuse, particularly in instances that residents consider especially egregious. The $85,000 performance, held during a time when the town was already struggling with financial difficulties, stands as a glaring example of Henyard's misplaced priorities. As her finances came under closer scrutiny, public outrage over such incidents intensified. Despite being accused of jeopardizing Dalton's financial future, Henyard continues to present herself as a dedicated public servant, unfairly targeted by political rivals. However, the severity of her situation was underscored by the Democratic Party's decision to deny her the nomination after a contentious caucus, where Henyard accused her political opponent, Illinois State Senator Napoleon Harris, of orchestrating her downfall. Tiffany Henyard accused the state senator Napoleon Harris of manipulating the caucus proceedings to prevent her from securing enough votes. Despite her claims, Harris's team maintained that everything was carried out fairly, attributing Henyard's defeat to her declining popularity and questionable leadership. The caucus outcome, which was a clear rejection of her re-election bid, marked a significant turning point, highlighting her waning influence even among Democratic strongholds. After the vote, Harris's supporters celebrated, while Henyard saw the loss as a humiliating public setback. Her reaction, however, has been anything but conciliatory. In the face of these defeats, she has doubled down on accusations of sabotage and unfair treatment, even threatening legal action. Despite her attempts at posturing, Henyard's aggressive approach has failed to sway public opinion. In fact, it has alienated potential supporters and solidified her critics, many of whom view her downfall as a necessary correction after years of mismanagement. Henyard's time as Thorne Township supervisor was initially seen as an opportunity to improve a struggling community and address local issues. Today, about 35% of new work Henyard's groups refuses to join an exercise class. However, it devolved into a contentious saga marked by personal ambitions overshadowing the collective good. With a $5 million deficit and ongoing leadership challenges, residents are left questioning the future of their town. Today, Dalton stands at a crossroads, with Henyard's administration primarily contributing political spectacle and financial incompetence rather than meaningful progress. Earlier promises of revolutionary transformation now seem distant as Dalton struggles to move past the turmoil of Henyard's term. The aftermath of her loss of nomination and the ongoing FBI investigation continue to unfold, casting a long shadow over her political future. Atonement appears increasingly unlikely for Henyard, whose career, once destined for greater heights, is now defined by a legacy of controversy and turmoil. Her story may serve as a cautionary tale about how unchecked power can lead even the most promising leaders to ruin. Since her removal, Thorne Township has become increasingly vocal in its disapproval, further cementing the negative impact of her leadership. Accusing Henyard of prioritizing her personal interests over those of the community, many now believe it is essential to charge and prosecute her and her associates for government corruption. At public gatherings, Henyard has often attempted to portray herself as the victim of a political conspiracy, a stance that has only deepened the frustration of local residents. Critics argue that her rhetoric is nothing more than a tactic to deflect from her long history of scandals. Despite her claims that her opponents are undermining the people's will and stealing democracy, Henyard's downfall marks a dramatic shift for someone once seen as a promising young leader. As one Thorne Township resident aptly put it, Henyard's leadership has devolved into a cautionary tale of what happens when ambition and power go unchecked. Everyone seems to use the same justification whenever Henyard is called out. But eventually, accountability for one's actions must be accepted. When she first took office, Henyard positioned herself as a reformer, dedicated to cleaning up local government and putting residents first. However, her tenure has been plagued by allegations of financial mismanagement, questionable hiring practices, and a lack of transparency. For many, including those with insight into legal matters like myself, this has only deepened the community's disillusionment. The turning point came when it was discovered that the Henyard administration came under intense scrutiny after it was revealed that over $100,000 had been spent on travel and upscale dining, while township programs for youth and seniors were allegedly underfunded. Multiple reports highlighted these financial discrepancies, further fueling public discontent. Henyard's management of the caucus itself also came under fire, with her team's lack of organization contributing significantly to her defeat. Critics pointed out that many elderly supporters she had bussed to the event arrived late and struggled to get into the venue. One observer even questioned how someone could govern a township when they couldn't even manage their own supporters. This logistical blunder further tarnished her credibility, giving her opponents more reasons to question her competence. Despite this, Henyard's remaining supporters have been vocal in defending her leadership, insisting that she remains committed to the community despite the setbacks. Her political adversaries, determined to see her fail, have unfairly singled Henyard out, according to some of her remaining supporters. However, even former fans are starting to question whether she can recover from the mounting scandals and legal troubles that have plagued her. One caucus participant remarked that they never gave her a fair chance. Furthermore, Henyard's late arrival at the Dolton Village board meeting only added to the growing concerns about her leadership. Critics argue that her collapse was inevitable, given the sheer number of controversies surrounding her, including allegations of misusing township resources to fund her political ambitions. Notably, the use of township buses to transport supporters to the caucus was considered unethical by her opponents, while her personal spending habits have become some of the most damning accusations. The situation has drawn comparisons to the downfall of former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, whose leadership was also marred by controversy. An investigation into Dolton's financial activities revealed that Henyard had accumulated tens of thousands of dollars in questionable expenses, including an astonishing $43,000 spent on Amazon in a single day. While the Cook County Court reversed part of her debt, the fallout from these revelations has been severe. Despite the mounting allegations, Henyard maintains that she has done nothing wrong. At Tuesday night's village board meeting, she issued a 30-day provisional appointment, continuing to deny the charges. In a special interview before the caucus, she described the accusations as political assaults. However, legal experts and political observers have largely dismissed Henyard's claims of injustice, emphasizing that the caucus followed established protocols and that the outcome was predictable. She further accused State Senator Napoleon Harris of manipulating the rules to secure his victory, alleging that the entire process was rigged in his favor. Henyard defiantly responded, "You guys didn't run my name through the mud and do everything, but guess what? I'm going to grow from it." Even her supporters appeared to be losing faith in her after the event, with some questioning her ability to govern amid the chaos. Tensions mounted after she arrived late, and some of her supporters struggled to get in. According to one attendee, confusion arose because there were 2 different agendas and 2 meetings in different locations. Due to a shortage of materials, the Village Hall meeting was called off shortly after it began. As Henyard faces the consequences of her actions, it seems her future is becoming increasingly uncertain. Legal concerns loom, with an ongoing FBI investigation, numerous lawsuits, and an inquiry by the Illinois State Police, further complicating her situation. Some believe Henyard may face criminal charges in the future, and there are speculations that she could declare bankruptcy due to the numerous lawsuits she is defending. Thorne Township, in particular, could face significant consequences if investigators uncover evidence of financial malfeasance. As Henyard's tenure comes to an end, a new chapter begins with State Senator Napoleon Harris poised to take over after the caucus. Following the vote, Henyard made a passionate speech calling the process unfair and unlawful and vowed to contest the outcome in court. "You don't even have the decency to look us in the eye. Instead, you just take our money and do as you please," she said. While her followers are dwindling, some have vowed to place her name on the ballot in the upcoming April election. Locals remain cautious, questioning whether Harris, or any politician, for that matter, can truly bring about meaningful change in a community plagued by years of dysfunction. Some remain hopeful that Thorne Township can eventually overcome the turmoil and restore trust in local governance. Henyard's political career has become a cautionary tale of how scandal and an unchecked desire for power can derail a once promising leader, sending her into a downward spiral. As one commenter succinctly put it, "The people have spoken, and Tiffany Henyard is no longer there." Let's hope this marks the beginning of real change for Thorne Township. The big question now is whether Henyard can make amends and return to politics, or if this will be the end of her controversial and scandal-filled career. The case has sparked important discussions about accountability, leadership, and public trust in local government. For more updates on this unfolding story, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below.